Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, September the 29th. Race number 3 at Belmont at the Big A. It's the Bertram F. Bongard, 2-year-old New York breds going 7/8 of a mile for $125,000. Before we get to the full preview, here's a brief message.
Want to view free Formulator past performances for this race? Head to the Race of the Day page at DRF.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel and bet this card with DRF Bets.
Here's the field for the feature at Belmont at the Big A on Thursday. Only a field of 5, Mike. Arctic Arrogance, gate-to-wire winner for Linda Rice over a muddy track. Might be the main speed in a short field.
Looks like the main speed in this race, which is, if nothing else, they're going to help this horse get 7 as he stretches out for a second start here. I don't know. They only got 5 for this race. 2 of them are maidens. Kind of feels like you're going to have to sort of choose between the 3 and the 4 here.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Timeform US believes that Arctic Arrogance can make the lead in a blue bar scenario, which would favor horses on or near the early lead. Blame It on Daddy showed improved speed second time out, but Arctic Arrogance looks like the true speed, and if he gets loose, he's going to be real dangerous despite having to stretch out and maybe do it on a fast track.
Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of horse, he did debut over a very wet track at Saratoga, so I suppose you have that to worry about here as he perhaps gets on a fast track for the first time, Dan. I feel like this horse would have been really, really dangerous even without this pace projector showing. He ran very, very well first time out.
One of the 2 maidens in here drew the inside post. That's the number 1, General Banker, who's going to be going turf to dirt again. They tried that 2 starts back in the funny side. The horse finished behind Donegal Surges. It doesn't appear like he has a lot of speed, so he might have to rally from out of it in a race without much pace, and he has to improve anyway.
He's got to get better. He's never won a race in his life. Only 1 dirt start, though, Dan. That was in the funny side back on Travers weekend at Saratoga. Listen, did he run great in there? No, but that was a way better field than this one. And listen, this is a horse who made a little bit of a run into that race, up the rail, into the stretch there. Actually had a look at that thing through the stretch. He just wasn't good enough that day, but it's not like it was a terrible performance.
Blame It on Daddy is the number 2, and he ran quite well in his debut. He was no match for Donegal Surges, but trainer Tommy Albertrani doesn't often have him cranked first time out. Blame It on Daddy was better prepared for his second lifetime start, catching a wet surface in this race, going 3/4 of a mile. The trip worked out fine. He was in the second flight. You see the horse on the lead just sort of bolting to the far outside. It gives Blame It on Daddy a big hole to split horses. He stays on his left lead for most of the stretch, but is game to win.
Yeah, he is. This is certainly a step in the right direction from his debut. His debut wasn't bad, where he was a little bit green and only second best to Donegal Surges. He improved here. He got a much better trip in this race. I thought he was pretty game there, digging in at the end to hold off a couple of closers. Good performance. It came earlier on that closing day card than Arctic Arrogance's debut was, and it was a much slower race, but the track really deteriorated after that.
Donegal Surges is the number 3. He is a very professional 2-year-old. I think he has some talent for trainer Todd Pletcher. He was a debut winner over Fast Going at Saratoga. He sat professionally off of the lead. He came with a 4-wide bid on the turn, and he got it done. And last time out on the funny side, he caught a horse dropping out of a graded stake on Diamo a Firenze. He ran fine that day, and the third-place horse came back to win on Monday, the Aspirant, at 1-20 at Finger Lakes by about 1 billion lengths.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that funny side was just a better race than this one. And this horse ran fine in there. He was only second best, but I still thought he ran pretty well that day. Really liked his career debut. As you mentioned, he's a very professional horse. He doesn't seem like he has a ton of speed, but he's very professional and he finishes.
Like the 3 Donegal Surges, the 4 Arctic Arrogance, bred by Chester and Mary Broman, who have been pillars of the New York breeding industry for a long time. They kept Arctic Arrogance. Here's the debut for Linda Rice at Saratoga over a muddy track, and the horse took some money. He showed big early speed. He gets a little bit green late over this testing track, but he wins, and he wins in fast time.
Yeah, this is a fast race. Linda Rice sort of has a little bit of that reputation, Dan, where she'll give her, especially her young horses, when they debut, she'll give them a race. It feels like they almost all need one. And then they'll do better second time out. This horse didn't need one. He was very strong right from the start, right to the top, never gave that field a chance. And you notice there that runner-up, Nobilis, that horse actually ran. That horse took money in there and actually ran and could not get anywhere near this horse. This horse was very impressive.
And completing the short field's another maiden. That's the 5 Jackson Heights. Javier Castellano retains the mount. This horse will be making his 4th lifetime start. His first start on dirt, though, is a slight improvement. We'll watch that 7/8 of a mile race over a sloppy track against fellow New York breds, and we see Jackson Heights turning into the stretch. The pace was solid. He gets up for 3rd. I think he's trending the right way. I'm just not sure this pace scenario coupled with a hike in class is what he needs, but they'd love to get some stakes placings.
Yeah, they'll see if they can get a piece of this. It's hard to see him winning this race. He runs, I guess, fine in this maiden race we're looking at right now, Dan, also over a wet track. But it's not like it was a super strong race, and it also wasn't a great performance. He just got up for 3rd there. He's just going to have to improve by leaps and bounds to be competitive here.
Before we get to our top picks, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video franchises. Top pick time for Thursday's DRF race of the day. The Bertram F. Bongard pace makes the race. Arctic Arrogance might get loose. Donegal surges, I think, is going to surge at him in the stretch. And we both look at it the same way from an exacta standpoint.
It's hard to get to the outsiders in here, Dan. Again, it feels like it comes down to the 3 and the 4. I prefer the 4s. Not only do I prefer his debut, where I thought he ran really well, but I also prefer his speed. Donegal Surges is a nice horse, but he might be up against it here.
4-3-2-1 for Mike. 4-3-1-2 for me. The $125,000 Bertram F. Bongard is your DRF race of the day for Thursday, September 29th. Race 3 at Belmont to the Big A. Approximate post time 2:02 Eastern. Good luck.